One of the number one questions that I get from veterans that are going through the home buying process is how much money do I need to pay for closing costs? So in this video, I'm going to break down how much money you potentially are going to be needing for closing costs. And I'm also going to show you how to get all of that covered so that you actually have $0 out of your pocket at the time that you close on your home. And if you're thinking that what I'm going to do is tell you that you need to use down payment assistance or state grants, you're wrong. This video is going to be a little bit more of a unique strategy that's going to require some creativity on the part of the team that you use to help you through this process. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned in the intro, I said it was going to require some creativity on the team that you're using. And what I mean by this is it's going to heavily depend on who you use as your VA knowledgeable lender and your VA knowledgeable realtor. Now, why am I saying VA knowledgeable with those two particular things? Is because if you are using somebody to help you make the most expensive investment that you've ever made in your life until you potentially do it again, you want to make sure you are using an individual who specializes in the thing that you are trying to do. So if you are going through the process using a VA loan, work with a VA knowledgeable lender who specializes in helping veterans do that. Now, if you're thinking, I'll just jump on Google and use the first company that comes up, come on, I know you've done it. Here's where you actually could be going wrong here, because these are very large companies with very massive marketing budgets, which means that you can end up in a call center working with somebody that is not actually local to the market that you're trying to use, or not actually understanding all of the things that go into the VA home loan benefit. So when you're going through the process, work with not only a VA knowledgeable lender, but also a VA knowledgeable realtor who understands the VA's guidelines around minimum property requirements or how to negotiate based off of what the VA expects the property to look like with regards to the condition that home is in. These are some very important things because guess who it saves time, money, and stress for? It saves you those three things. Let's talk about what my strategy is and how to go about achieving it. My strategy for being able to purchase a house where you not only have no money as a down payment, but also where you're not having to cover your closing costs is going to be through the way you negotiate on a particular property. So for example, when you are negotiating or submitting an offer, what you're submitting an offer to the seller as will be requesting some form of seller compensation to not only cover your buyer's agent representation, but also to cover your closing costs. This is something that is very common in the current market that we're in. This was not common during the 2020 and 2021 timeframe because interest rates were at historic lows, and you saw situations where there were 20 plus people bidding well over asking for the same house, which made it really a nightmare. So what I try to do is tell the veteran to negotiate in a way where it makes sense for the seller, but also makes sense for you. What I like to do with the negotiation process is simply figuring out what's the purchase price, what is the property worth, and then how much do I need for that particular property to get all of my closing costs covered. So I'll show you exactly that by diving into a particular property here in a second, but I want to talk about why I prefer this over you doing either a down payment assistance or a state grant. Personally, the reason I'm not a big fan of down payment assistance and state grants is because one, they come with often stricter guidelines or rules around them, which means it actually can make it harder for you to be able to qualify. In many situations, I've seen somebody that was getting down payment assistance actually qualify for less than they would have if they were not getting down payment assistance. In other situations, you could see some hidden fees and additionally higher interest rates on those down payment assistance or grants as well, which means that it actually ends up making the payment being more than maybe it needs to be. And then the last one is also just going to be the limitations that you could have when it comes to later on when you want to sell the property. There could be some form of clause in that down payment assistance or grant that requires you to have to pay it back if you sell the property within a certain period of time, or you maybe have to pay it back if you convert it to a rental property. So there's a lot of restrictions that go into down payment assistance and state grants, and that's personally why I'm not a big fan of them. All right, so I have Redfin open and I have a VA mortgage calculator open, and I'm going to show you a couple of things on what I look for on possibly finding the best deals available to be able to do this type of negotiation that I'm looking for. So I want to look in the New Braunfels area. The reason for that is because that's where I'm actually personally moving to. I'm going to set my parameters at 400,000. And then I want to actually add a minimum here. I'm going to do 300,000 as the minimum. It will really just help narrow this search down a lot more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set some parameters on what we're looking for. And then right here, do you see where it says time on Redfin? If I click this, it allows me to see properties that were on the market for less than this many days, but also properties that were on the market for more than this many days. Now, why am I doing this? It's because I'm looking for properties where there may be a seller that is going to be a little bit more motivated. It's going to allow me to have a little bit more leverage going into this. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do this strategy with a brand new listing that just went live today. It just means that the likelihood of it is going to be a little bit less. I'm trying to increase as much of my likelihood to find what I'm looking for than anything else. So I want to find properties that have been on the market for more than 30 days. So we have quite a few properties that are showing actively on the market. I like this. Let's pick this one right here. So we're going to click on this property here. This is going to be our example for today. And I have not talked to any of these agents. I have not talked to any of these sellers. So I don't know their actual situation, but what that's part of submitting an offer is it's the intent of submitting an offer is first, obviously hoping that they accept it. And if they don't accept it, that they're going to counter your offer. So when I see this property that has been on the market for exactly 30 days today, can't make this up, I'm going to now try to submit an offer with them that is potentially under asking or at asking, but with the difference being what I need in seller concessions. So here's my example. Let's say my realtor thinks they can get this property under contract for me at $290. That's a $15,000 difference, right? But instead of me making an offer at $290,000, I'm actually going to make an offer to them at $305,000, and I'm going to ask for $15,000 in seller credit. What this allows me to do is take that $15,000 and apply it towards all of my closing costs. And this is where some people will say, well, but then your payment's higher at $305 versus at $290, which is true. So let's compare. This payment right here has $305 in it, and this payment right here has $290, $15,000 less. So let's subtract the differences between those two payments. You got $18.58 and 15 cents. And over here, you got $17.66 and 76 cents. That's a $91 difference. $91 every single month that you're going to pay higher by doing the higher purchase price, but coming out of pocket with $0. What do I think about this situation is with that $91 at a higher purchase price, you're going to have an opportunity to purchase a property where you didn't come out of pocket with your own funds. And then in about 6 months, you're going to have an opportunity to utilize what's called a VA streamline refinance, which will allow you to lower your interest rate, thus lowering your monthly payment without any income verification, any asset verification. There's no appraisal done on your property. All they really care about is that you have been making your mortgage payments on time, and also that you are going to get at least a 0.5% lower than whatever your current interest rate is. I help veterans do this all the time that are using their VA loan in an economy or in a market like we're seeing right now that allows them to be able to get into home ownership with little to no money out of pocket and then be able to save money over time by maximizing utilizing the VA Streamline refinance. That's what I have for you guys in this video, breaking down exactly how I help veterans be able to purchase property with little to no money out of their pocket. If you got value from this video, please do me a favor, hit the like button down below. Let me know if you have questions, concerns, if you agree, disagree. I want to hear from you down below in the comments. The last thing that I want to leave you with is the most important thing. Jesus loves you and he paid the ultimate price for your life. So if you turn to him, trust in him, and believe in him, he has a beautiful plan and purpose for you. I'll see you guys in the next one.